So cute. Hello, today I want to tell you about some of my favorite albums, and what better being to join me than the cat that has listened to most of these albums with me for like a majority of his life. So yeah, I'm joined by the lovely, incomparable Melvin today. He's a little camera shy, so you know he'll turn his back if he wants to, but yeah, I thought it would be fun to talk about some of my favorite albums and why they're my favorite albums. They're not ranked. Maybe I'll tell you my like favorite 5 in the end. So yeah, I'll just start with the one that I was literally listening to last. The Sundays, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. It's on gray vinyl. It's really pretty, but that album is a more recent find for me, but I adore it because of her voice. She has one of the most beautiful singing voices I have ever heard, and I think that her lyrics are very, they're not easily decipherable. I think that she writes in like code. I think a lot of it is, you know, it's not straight up, and I love that kind of storytelling and songwriting where you kind of have to put in the work to get what it's about. So it's almost an interactive album, and I think it just sounds so good. The guitar, all the instruments, the drum, it's so good, and it's in my favorite era of kind of rock, singer-songwriter rock, like the Cranberries kind of. I love the late 90s, early 2000s aesthetics and the sound of it. It's just so beautiful, and yeah, she has one of the best voices I've ever heard. So yeah, I'll just start with that one. I spin that record a lot. Another really fantastic record is One in a Million by Aaliyah. This album is one of the best albums of all time. If you don't agree, argue with my hand, argue with my butt, argue with the man at Pizza Hut. Not only did this album give us like 1 in a million, it gave us, let's just go down the track list, shall we? My favorite songs are Hot Like Fire, If Your Girl Only Knew, Choosy Lover, 4-Page Letter, I Got You Back, Never Giving Up, Heartbroken, Never Coming Back, and then the outro song, Came to Give My Love. So this album, was released in my favorite era for R&B, the early 2000s, right? I think it's, actually I lied, it's 1996. It's still kind of in my favorite era. I think early 2000s, late 90s R&B was so juicy and so good. The instruments were so good. And then this is Timbaland, so like this was when his beats were very fresh, very unique, and very much needed. And her voice is just so angelic, and I've always loved Aaliyah. She reminds me of my mom because my mom loved her, and my mom was the first one to ever put me on Aaliyah. So I mean, 4-Page Letter is probably my favorite song. But also Choosy Lover, oh, it's so good. That's like one of the best covers ever. But yeah, I really love this album and this era, so give it a listen. Another one of my favorite albums is Live Through This by Hole. This album came out in 1994. It came out in 1994, and this album was the album that got me into like more grunge punk rock. I honestly never really gravitated towards that genre as a kid, and I think that I really needed a more like a feminine approach to it that was still very raw, very gritty, and that's what this album gave me. The lead singer, Courtney Love, really bears all on this album, and if you know anything about the history of this album, it kind of adds to the music. I think the music stands on its own, and so even before I knew what went on behind the scenes with this album, I still loved it. And so I'll tell you my favorites before I tell you the lore with this album. So the first song I ever heard from them was Miss World. And then shortly after, I had watched Jennifer's Body for the first time, and I heard the song Violet in the end. So those are the first two songs. I love those songs, but my favorite songs in this moment in time are Asking for It, Jennifer's Body, which did inspire the name of the movie, in case you were curious. Credit in the Straight World, She Walks on Me has always been one of my favorites. She Walks on Me is like my ultimate rage song. Yeah, those are my favorites. So basically, if you don't know the lore with this album, Courtney Love, the lead singer, was married to Kurt Cobain, the lead singer of Nirvana. And of course, he passed away very tragically, and a lot of people blamed his wife, Courtney Love, because she's not a very, like, I guess, likable rock star or whatever. She's very provocative, she speaks her mind, and she's, I guess, said and done problematic things, so a lot of people have reasons not to like her, and especially during that time, everyone kind of blamed her for Kurt Cobain's death. And I mean, the album being called Live Through This is kind of already enough. Like, you can hear her rage and her sadness in this album, even though I guess allegedly a lot of it was recorded before Kurt even passed away, but it's just very ironic. I think there's an interview where she's like, man, I don't tell the future, but my lyrics do, or something like that. And it's just kind of, it's very mysterious, and it's one of those things that are a little weird that that I gravitate to. Like, it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum for sure. But I love this album cover, one of my favorite album covers ever. And then the instrumentals, the guitar, the bass, and then of course, this is one of my favorite vocal performances from anyone ever, period. So yeah, thank you Courtney Love, and thank you Hole. This is one of my favorite albums ever. We'll switch it up a little bit for the next one. This is one of my favorite bossa nova records ever. It's Flower of the Soul by Liana Flores. It came out in 2024. My favorite songs are Hello Again, Orange Colored Day, Now and Then, Butterflies, I Wish for Rain, and Slowly, the last song. So this album, I don't even know how it came on my radar. I think I just always knew the song Rises the Moon, so I would kind of frequently go back to her artist page, and I saw, like, I don't know where she just dropped an album, and I was like, oh, okay, I haven't heard anything about it. And I listened to it, and it was literally one of the most freshest takes on jazz and bossa nova that I have heard. And I mean, I'm glad she's here, because this is needed for me. There's so many sounds of nature throughout this album. You can hear birds chirping, you can hear, I think that in some songs you'll hear like waves, rain, and this album is one of my favorite albums to play in nature. I love that the instruments are traditional jazz instruments. There's a lot of like flute, there's a lot of bossa like guitar rhythms in there, and even the hi-hats and like the drums, they are very, very jazzy. And I love the songwriting too. I've never heard such beautiful words written about nature before this, honestly. This is, I mean, she words everything so old school. Like, this could be kind of, in my opinion, it could be like medieval poetry about the nature. And so I love this album, and I honestly don't think a lot of people talk about it. So hopefully, if you haven't listened to her already, go give her a listen. Flower of the Soul, Liana Flores. Beautiful record. This album is not only one of my favorite albums ever, but it's an album that made me want to pick up the saxophone and learn saxophone. And it really gave me an appreciation for jazz that I don't think I had at the level I had it until after I listened to this record. So maybe this record is single-handedly the record that I have to blame for my like obsession with jazz music. My favorites would be The Girl from Ipanema. I love Desafinado. I love O Grande Amor and So Danzo Samba. There's a lot of good songs on here, and I think front to back this is a record that your ears would thank you for listening to. Why are you hiding over there? Come on out. He's just watching me over there. But yeah, Melvin has heard me spin this record many times, and I think we both love it because he'll always stick around when I play this record. I also really adore Underdressed at the Symphony by Faye Webster. This instrumentation on this record is just exquisite. I mean, Underdressed at the Symphony has some of the best modern instruments I've heard ever. I think that the song I Want to Quit All the Time is like, oh, it has such a good guitar. I think it's a slide guitar maybe. It's very Hawaiian feel. I love that song. I love that song. I love this whole album. I love the song Feeling Good Today because it's really weird. Like, she has some weird vocal processing thing on it. I love the song Lifetime. It's very sweet, very sentimental, very long, and she doesn't say a lot in that song, but she gets her message across. I love Thinking About You. And there's a song she dropped after this album release called After the First Kiss, and I really adore that song. But, oh, actually, I should show you. This is also, like, probably one of the most beautiful records I own. Look at that. Wow. That's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, I love this album, and I love Faye Webster too. She has a lot of albums that I could decide between, but this one I think is, is a good choice. Can't go wrong with the Faye Webster album. She really knows how to make a delightful record. Next up is Casey Musgraves, Pageant Material. I could have chosen any Casey Musgraves album, and in fact, if I could, I guess I can, but I won't. But I would choose literally all of her records. Casey Musgraves is my favorite artist. I adore her songwriting and the guitar playing. She always has some good guitar. Her most recent album, Deeper Well, that has like some of the freshest guitar you'll ever hear, and it literally came out last year. But this is just a very sentimental album to me because it's all about her and her little small town beliefs, and you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. And I love the song Late to the Party too. It's a really sweet, slow love song about how she's never going to be late to the party if she's late to the party with her lover. And I love the lyric where she says, "You're rolling 1 for 2 and I'm still picking out my shoes. I'm never late to the party if I'm late to the party with you." I love the song Somebody to Love. That has some really good lyrics on it too. Cup of Tea, Family is Family, and the last song, Fine. And there's this secret song on this album called Are You Sure with Willie Nelson. That is one of my favorite Casey Musgraves songs. But this album is it's just so sweet, and lyrically that's the thing that really drew me to Casey Musgraves. It's very down to earth, and I adore that. This album keeps me grounded, and I've spun it quite a few times in this bedroom and all my other bedrooms before. This was one of the first albums I ever got for myself, and it's always going to hold a very, very special place in my heart. And yeah, I am just a Diamond Star Cowgirl. And also, currently, I'm living in San Antonio, and she has a lyric on this album about San Antonio. It's, I went to San Antonio to the Riverwalk and the rodeo, and that's just really cute, so yeah. Next up is Norman Effin' Rockwell by Lana Del Rey. This album, it sounds like the sea to me. I mean, and you can see it in the album cover, right? But this album is my favorite album to listen to anytime I'm near a body of water. And I think the instruments on this, like, surf psychedelic rock album are just one of my favorite sounds on earth. And I think lyrically too, she gave us some of her best work ever on Norman Rockwell, and I love to have this record spinning in my room. I love to have this record spinning when I'm cleaning, when I could be reading, I could be drawing. This album, I mean, okay, wait, favorite songs: Venice Bitch, Fuck It I Love You, Doing Time, How to Disappear, the next best American record, Happiness is a Butterfly. This album, I think when I first listened to it, I actually didn't like it for some reason. But the next time I heard it, I felt like I heard something I'd never heard before. And this album on mushrooms is crazy. Like, this album is so textured that when you're mentally altered and in a different state, it like tickles some kind of spot in your brain. It's really good. You'll just have to take my word for it. Next album is Charm by Clairo. This album came out last year and it's such a good freaking jazz album. It's very vintage sounding. I think that it's definitely a popular thing in music to try to make older vintage sounding songs, but this album feels like, without even trying, it sounds like it could have came out in the 70s or even in the 60s. It's so sensual, and I think that it's very charming, no pun intended. I adore this album and I listen to it front to back. This is another one where I barely ever just pick a song here, pick a song there. I love Second Nature. That's probably my favorite off the whole album. I love Juna, Terrapin, Echo, Add Up My Love, and let's see, Thank You Too. That one's really good. This whole album, I adore it. And I have a really pretty copy of it too. It's a really pretty purple. I think that it goes so like beautifully with the green. But yeah, Clairo really, I've always loved Clairo, but I feel like Clairo became Clairo on this album. So I'm excited to hear what she does next. Alright, the next album on the list is Bronski Beat, The Age of Consent. And this album is one of my favorites for quite a few reasons. I think instrumentally, it's very 80s, and I adore the 80s. I adore that era for music, and I found them through the song Small Town Boy. It's a pretty popular song, but this whole album, I mean, there's a lot of depth here, and I think that there's not a lot of gay men that are popular, or at least that I know of, that make music like this, and especially in this decade too, and we're so open about it, you know, and they were very open about it. Every song kind of deals with something around sexuality and being proud of their sexuality. And I love the song It Ain't Necessarily So, Heat Wave, Junk, and I Feel Love, which is a cover. But this is an album that, like, you can kind of tell that it came out in the 80s, but I don't think it's aged at all. This album sounds still very fresh, very modern to me, and I think that vocally, the lead singer, he exudes a very unique energy, and I've never heard another singer like him. And I think that honestly, gay men, it's harder for I think a lot of people to enjoy their singing for some reason. I think a lot of people shit on the gay voice or whatever, but this guy takes his God-given voice. He doesn't alter it. He doesn't try to sound deeper. He doesn't try to sound higher. He really like pushes his voice to its limits, and he belts and he yells, and it sounds good. It sounds like nothing you will ever hear again, probably. I mean, I adore this album. I adore the lead singer, and I adore the songwriting too. So yeah, add this to your list. It's very good. This next album will be the last one for this video, but if you're interested, I have lots of more albums that I could yap about for even longer, but just for the sake of my day, I am going to call it quits here. Literally almost every record in my collection truly is my favorite album ever, and that's why it's in my collection. So I can come out with lots more of these videos, and I probably will. I just need time. So until then, the last album that I'll leave you with is Laurel Hell by Mitski. This one's another more recent album. I think that this came out in 2022. I lied, it's 2022. Okay, so Laurel Hell is such a good instrumental album. Like, not only are the lyrics very deep, very reflective, and very sad. This is a very sad album to me. I don't like to listen to this album if I'm in a happy mood. Like, this is kind of an album for when my day has been ruined. But I have listened to it when I'm happy before because it sounds so good. The production on this album is so crisp and clear, and I think that there's a lot of like surprises. I think this album really stimulates my mind. Like, the first time I ever heard it, I'll never forget the very first song. She has like a moment in there where it's really quiet and then it gets very loud all of a sudden in a good way. It sounds beautiful, and a lot of the album is like that. It's very 80s coded, kind of like the last album I talked about, but except the difference is that this did not come out in the 80s. But it sounds like it very well could have, honestly. I really adore this album and everything that she was able to accomplish lyrically with it. I've cried many days to this album. The songs aren't even on the back and I remember them all, so I'm gonna tell you my favorite ones. Number 1 is Heat Lightning. Number 2 is That's Our Lamp. Number 3 is Love Me More. Number 4 is Working for the Knife. And then number 5 would be Everyone. I think that this album is for those that need to hear it. Honestly, I've seen a lot of like dislike for this album in the Mitski fandom, or just like underappreciation. I'm not really sure why. I think that I heard this album and it felt like what I needed for a rainy day, you know. I felt seen, I felt heard, and it kind of felt comforting almost. And I think that this is my favorite Mitski record. It's kind of hard to say that because she has a lot of good stuff, but this is definitely sonically my favorite Mitski album. I mean, it's like a treat for your ears if you listen to it. So yeah, I think my favorite lyric on this album would be, "On the ceiling dancing are the things all come and gone." I think that's very beautiful and very tragic. And yeah, those are all the albums I'm going to talk about in this video, and I hope that you maybe got a recommendation or two that you'd like to check out. I'll probably be back soon to talk about more, so stay tuned.